for us to be able to plan for our future conference. We need your views, we need your objectivity in evaluating us. Kindly note that we will use all your views to help us plan for our next conference. Knowing very well that you're going to meet about 80 providers from 38 counties, and all those are members from RHN, and you will have an opportunity to interact with them. If it is Maristops, you know better how our providers have supported your work. If it is DKT, you know better. If it is AMREF, we want to partner with you in terms of helping us using your youth, because I know we have a network of young people, but the network of young people is not in all 38 counties. So we want to ride on your advocacy. We want to ride on the Alliance advocacy so that we increase accessibility for comprehensive SRH for all our young people and the women in our community.
In Nakuru County. My name is Samuel Muniu, and we did this study together with the Tamari Esho and Aaron Data, all from Technical University of Kenya, TUK. Adolescents, our young people ranging from around 10 to 19 years, if I'm not wrong, and they go through a phase, what we are call a transitional phase. They go through an interesting phase, a transition phase where major development take place. One of the interesting one and a complex one is sexual maturation. Social factors, or better put, the environmental factors is the surroundings. What surrounds the adolescents, which is very important for us because we form part of that surroundings, social factors. And not only do they shape their attitudes or their perception about sexuality, but they actually facilitate sexual learning. Their surrounding is very, very important. What they interact with is very important. We are seeing almost 1.5 million actually sexually active, and the mean at which they have their first intercourse, sexual intercourse, for the girl is approximately 16 years. Where do we find these young men and women who forms almost a fifth of our population? They're in schools. They're in schools. We're talking of people ranging from 10 to 19. You can only find them in schools, and that is why we targeted them to learn about their sexual experience. And we are alive to the fact that we don't explicitly cover sexual education in our curriculum. We only reported only 38%. We find that more male respondents, we found out that there's more male respondents that smile to a kissing scene in a movie, or as compared to females who tend to get embarrassed by the scene. Remember about the social factors. You are one of the social factors. As a parent, you have that role. Let's not shift that role to teachers or any other person. Let whatever will come out later from others be supplemental to what you're doing. I hope I've delivered my message to you.
My name is Ishmael Ochola, and I'm here representing an organization called Church World Service. So Church World Service was it's a humanitarian and development organization that was founded back in the year 1946 in the United States. So we are currently present in 5 global regions of the world, including Africa. So the African office is headquartered in Nairobi, and We work in different countries in Africa. We also have satellite offices in Tanzania and South Africa. Healthcare service providers usually discriminate against LGBTI people when it comes to access to services. I'll give you statistics to indicate that. Then we also know that we have the penal code, section 162, 163, and 165 of the penal code outlaws same-sex relations. It indicates that any person who allows anyone to engage in unnatural acts against the order of nature is liable or is committing felony and is liable to imprisonment for 14 years. So the reason why a large number or majority indicated that they would go to a Doping Center is because of the sensitization that we have done among the DICE staff. Then we also wanted to know whether these people use condom consistently when engaging in sex. So 109 indicated that they do use condom consistently, while 40 indicated that they are not consistent in condom use. Sensitize healthcare service providers to enable access to services by this population. Then GBV response and reporting mechanism also need to be strengthened, because quite a good number indicated that they are the experienced intimate partner violence. And we need to have a BCC on the effects of substance abuse in relation to HIV, STIs, and violence. Then we need to conduct awareness or paralegal training among the LGBTIQ people on health and sexual and reproductive health. Lastly, we need to increase supply of HIV prevention commodities to meet the needs of the population. Thank you.
Do you have any branch in Nakuru County? Because we have quite a good number, and we are seeing some of them, and maybe let us not just put all the providers in one basket. Maybe we could have some providers in the reproductive health network who would like to help these people, because we can't just pretend they're not there, they're there.
I was wondering how effective is that, because we all know media is a very powerful tool in creating awareness. How effective are the trainings?
And it's something that really would affect them, and probably they even commit suicide, because the society is super discriminating towards them. So how is their mental health being catered for?
Mine is more of a comment. How are we going to give the safe space, the reliable information for them, whether they've decided to have or engage sexually in that manner? But how are we going to ensure that it is safe? How are we going to make sure that it's non-judgmental? Because the first instance where we stigmatize them, we'll be chasing them out of school. We'll be killing them every now and then. These are our children, these are our friends, these are our relatives. Do we have to address it from such a radical point of view? I rest my case.
I'll just comment on the questions that were addressed to me. And one of them was where these schools where we collected the data came from in Nakuru County. It was spread across the various sub-counties in Nakuru. But later we convened for a function with these students just to give them a package on sexuality issues. But that was later after we collected the data. So it was across the various sub-counties in Nakuru. I can share much of the, if you really need the very specifics, I I think I can share later if you contact me. I have that information. The only comment I would like to give is that where does the buck stop? From them, they think it is the responsibility of the parent. But apparently, as the parent have run away from our responsibilities, we want the nature or their friends to teach them. That is why you hear so many comments coming here, oh, we need to pray. Sorry, I'm not referring to you, but I know we want to pray about some issues. Also, serikali's idea. But the buck will stop at you. Start it at home. Build ethics and morals. I think if we can do that at that very stage, a good proportion of our youths will not be that will not go astray. But we as parents, we have run from our responsibilities. Can we go back to the track? Let's not wait for people to just say, in whatever program you are running, can you consult us parents? That should not be the direction. They should be supplementing what you are doing. So it should not be you to ask for to be consulted. It's something that you have already initiated back there. They do not have much of this problem. Maybe I'll have my brother because he has bulk of the issues to tackle.
Okay, good morning once again. I would want to address the questions that were directed to me. The first question I was asking about our presence in Nakuru. So I would want to say that currently we are not doing the health program in Nakuru, but we've had advocacy with the faith leaders who are based in Nakuru. I would say that we've achieved significant success with our approach, and it is for the same reason that we were able to learn during the assessment that the healthcare service providers who are based at the drop-in centers where we've sensitized the providers are receiving more clients as compared to the rest where we've not done the sensitization. But that does not mean that we could still employ other methods to reach out to the other group. Mr. Okon did indicate that media is very effective when it comes to communication, and I would want to agree with him. So the only challenge with the media, the issue being controversial, and we also know the legal environment in which we operate. We would want to move one step at a time, and at the same time we would also not want to put the security of the individuals that we serve at risk. So that's the main reason why we've not used the mainstream media. But we have discussion going on in the social media platforms. So I would just want to pose a question to you. Should we not attend to them just because they have different sexual orientation or their sexual behavior is different from ours? I think that's all.